And they get away with murder on film and television when it comes to any type of financial discipline, or frankly, at least for Disney Plus, they can get away with making trash and still sell the lie of how successful they are because they had the largest share of the box office based on their massive marketing budgets and the IPs that went along with them. Never mind the fact that they lost hundreds of millions, if not billions in some cases of dollars over the course of the last few years on these projects. Renegade Online. I wanted to do a reaction video to this. This was an interview that the co-chair of the Walt Disney Studios system, Dana Walden, did just yesterday, I believe, as a matter of fact, on CNBC. Did this with Jim Cramer. Now, of course, Jim Cramer has been, I have my thoughts about Jim Cramer's thoughts on stocks, on advice, of which there is no financial advice here, of course. But far be it from me to, in the past, have referred to Jim Cramer by a certain slang, just because I still respect him to a degree. But I'm at the point now where I just feel like Jim Cramer is just, I'm going to call it, he's a Disney shill. He's a Bob Iger shill. Okay? And I know to a lot of people, well, Valiant, yeah, he's always been like that. I get it. I get it. But being in the financial industry myself, I take a little bit more sober view of guys like Cramer when it comes to being a shill for, because it's not, there's a lot of personalities out there, media personalities in the financial journalism world that they're out there to make a show. And especially Cramer is just out there to make a show. But I'm to the point now, listening to him in this interview, and I'm even going to back it up. I'll let you hear the intro, okay? I guess it's important to put this in perspective because I'm so tired of the ridiculous shilling for this lunatic company. It is the worst performing member, I would, or at least one of the worst 2 or 3 performing members of the Dow Jones 30 of the last 10 years. It has to be. It's pitiful, at least for the ones that are still actually on the exchange. Not looking at you, Walgreens, you're off. But point being is that it's been run by the same guy. It's still being run by the same guy. So let me, here we go. I'll just play it. Please don't call that number. Please don't call that number.
Disney stock has now rallied for an astounding 6 straight sessions, up more than 20%, with most of that gain coming last Wednesday after the company reported a blowout quarter. As someone who owns the stock for the Charitable Trust, I love to see this kind of move. But can it keep running? Earlier today, we got the chance to speak with Dana Walden. She's
okay. Everybody loves to see this kind of move. The problem is we've had this kind of move from Disney, I don't know, a half a dozen times in the last, 4 years alone. 3 years alone. Runs up to 120, falls back to 100 or 90 or 80, runs back up to 110, 150, falls back, up and down, up, down, up, down. They never break out. Not saying that's going to happen this time. Again, I'm not trying to make a prognostication here. I'm just trying to say that is, in fact, the history of this. And the reason that it continues to happen is something that we have covered and dissected on a number of occasions. In fact, every time it has happened. And that is Bob Iger and company come out with a lot of bluster, and then it doesn't happen. And then something else goes wrong. We're going to spend $60 billion. It took 2 or 3 years, or roughly 2 years, at least 2.5 years, to actually get any sense of where that was going. It's one of these things. Try to find something to make Wall Street happy because they're so stupid. They'll lap it up like a bunch of dogs, and then we'll get a few months to try to come up with an actual plan before they figure out that we've been bullshit the whole time. That's Disney. That's Disney. The people like Jim Cramer don't ever seem to really catch on to this.
is the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment at the company's upfronts event for advertisers here in New York City. Take a look.
So again, going back to what we talked about earlier, this is from the upfronts this week. And for those of you that don't understand or know what upfronts are, it simply is when all the big media players in television especially show up. They have a huge confab. All the advertisers, the major Fortune 500 companies that advertise on television and everybody else will show up, and each company like Disney or Paramount or Warner Brothers or NBC Comcast or on down the line will make their pitches for why your ad dollars should go to us. This is why you want to advertise on NBC, on Disney, on TBS, Warner Brothers, on Max, or whatever. You make the pitch there, right? So that's what's going on this week. Cramer is interviewing Dana Walden on this.
Right. People should know I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness, but I want everyone to know who Dana is. There's not a better person to tell me.
So right off the bat, I want everybody to know I'm in the presence of greatness. Bruh. Dana Walden is the co-chair, of course. The other co-chair is Alan Bergman. And for everybody's edification, Dana Walden oversees all of the television studio production for Disney, and Alan Bergman oversees all of the theatrical production for Disney.
There's not a better person to tell me who Dana is than you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Jim, for being here. And I'm very excited to tell you who I am. I am the co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, and I oversee our global television business as well as Disney Plus and Hulu, which I oversee together with my partner, Alan Bergman, who oversees the film side. Additionally, we oversee ad sales, technology, and platform distribution.
Well, people should also know that one of the reasons I'm so excited to meet you with that resume is that you were also the reason why the quarter was so damn good.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
You were the Delta.
I appreciate it, but can I tell you, I think we had a great.
Now, I guess I probably need to stop and explain this, okay? Jim Cramer, let me put this in perspective. Really, everybody get your hands around this one. Jim Cramer has been lauding Disney for years, talking about how undervalued it is, how he loves to own it, how it's going to explode, and it's blah, 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 blah. And Disney is basically worth 10% more than it was 10 years ago. It is, from a historical measurement perspective, over the last 10 years, it is a shitty stock at a shitty company, okay? And it's not the only one. I'm not, well, value, what about Warner Brothers, and what about Paramount? I'm not going to argue that point, but I'm not talking about them. And the reason I don't talk about them as much is because they don't do the scale of stupid that Disney does. That's why we talk about Disney. It's because Disney has an enormous amount of assets that aren't in film and television. And they get away with murder on film and television when it comes to any type of financial discipline, or frankly, at least for Disney Plus, when it comes to major IPs and movies, when it comes to major IPs. They can get away with making trash and still sell the lie of how successful they are because they had the largest share of the box office based on their massive marketing budgets and the IPs that went along with them. Never mind the fact that they lost hundreds of millions, if not billions in some cases, of dollars over the course of the last few years on these projects. Disney can get away with that. Paramount could not do that. Warner Brothers could not do that. Really, even Comcast, NBC Universal would not be able to do that because none of these people have these massive, high volume, high profit margin revenues from places like theme parks where you can pay $15 for a Dole Whip. Okay? That's the difference. This is why we give Disney a hard time, right? Because they have the capital to burn, and burn it they do.
Quarter across the board, every segment delivered. I'm very proud of my colleagues. I feel like we're in great shape.
So again, what he's talking about here, and I have to back up a little bit. He's giving Dana Walden the credit here because she oversees the television side, which includes DTC, direct-to-consumer content. When he says the line about the Delta, he's talking about the overperformance, right? What sector in the company was the delta? What was the overperformance, to put it simply, in the company that drove the boost in the stock? Well, they showed another quarter of profits when it came to streaming, right? Remember what we talked about after the Disney call and then the Warner Brothers earnings call the next day? And we looked at it and we said, whew, wait a minute, hang on a second. You've got Disney's direct-to-consumer, which is 180 million subscribers between Disney Plus and Hulu. They report those components together. It showed a 330, I think, $4 or $5 million quarterly OI, operating income, right? EBITDA. They're all based on the same basic metric, though. Max, or HBO Max, or Warner Brothers showed DTC profitability, which would include the Discovery package as well. At 339 million, it was decidedly, but it was about 4 or 5 million more in operating income than what Disney showed for the same quarter, calendar quarter. The problem with that is, of course, is that you're talking about a significantly smaller amount of subscribers. About 122 million, I believe, is what Max had. Disney's got about 180. Netflix has 300. Max has about 122. Paramount Plus is at 80 million. So the point is that at the scale that Disney is at, between Disney Plus and Hulu, you would think that they should be significantly more, hundreds of millions more in profits than Max. They're not. And people say, oh, but value, forget, they include a lot of the revenue from HBO. Well, because HBO, the linear broadcast, if you sign up for a subscription to HBO through your cable provider, you get Max. If you have a cable subscription now, virtually with any cable provider, you get Disney Plus as part of it because it's duplicative. So the dynamics now are the same, right? So we can make that comparison accurately. But he's handing Dana these accolades because DTC performed well again, right? Okay. So he's really touting it because finally Jim Cramer looks like he knows something, because Disney had a bump again, just like they did pretty much, the last 1, 2, 3 years. They had a bump around the same time of the year, right before it kind of trailed off when people realized that it's not really sustaining.
Have an amazing breath and you have fabulous IP. But again, I won't pressure on this beyond this, but the fact was you were in a business that was losing $1 billion a quarter, and we all hated Disney because of that business. And now it's the reason why we love Disney and why the stock won't quit. So how did you turn it?
6 days of gains. 6 days of gains in Jim Cramer's world is it won't quit. 6 days against 10 years.
Well, our strategy it's really working. And ultimately, we're looking at a few different elements that make a huge difference for us, starting with amazing stories and a unique type of story that you can only find at Disney, which is obviously our iconic IP, our branded series. Our studio was #1 at the box office.
See, here we go. Amazing stories. What were those? Now she's talking about box office.
This year and 8 of the past 10 years. It is so reliable. The films are amazing. Many of them are $1 billion plus.
No, okay. So many things that Dana Walden said here that was just absolutely silly. And not everything, but enough that this needs to be broken down, because again, this is the part I was referring to earlier. This is Dana Walden trying to solidify her position as Bob Iger's heir apparent. She's sounding exactly like him. She has had the Disney cult mentality drilled into her head. It's the same type of nonsense that we've heard time and time again, with absolutely nothing added to it in terms of context, right? Like massive box office losses. Oh, we had the biggest box office, but we're going to fail to mention that, in 2023, during that stretch of time from late 22 into 23 and late 23, they lost about $1 billion at the box office, right? Y'all remember that one? We've talked about that before, have we not?
We're looking at a few different elements that make a huge difference for us, starting with amazing stories and a unique type of story that
Amazing stories like Snow White.
you can only find at Disney, which is obviously our iconic IP, our branded series.
Your iconic IP and branded series. Okay, are we talking about like Marvel and Star Wars stuff? Like Andor? That's bringing in some of the lowest audiences on Disney Plus of any original major IP. I don't give a crap if you think it's good. I genuinely don't. It's got about 1/5 the audience of the new thing on Paramount Plus right now. And it costs $400 million just for the season.
Our studio was #1 at the box office this year and 8 of the past.
This year, sweetie pie, we're in frickin' May. We're #1 at the box office so far. We're #1 at the box office this year, 2025. Dana, pumpkin, sweetie, honey pie. Congratulations on your $200 million for Snow White. Congratulations on your $414 million or whatever the hell it is for Captain Falcon DEI. Those two films combined to lose $500 million for Disney shareholders in real money. Not fake Mickey Mouse dollars that you're going to pay back from Disney Plus's credit card, but real money, pumpkin. And Thunderbolts is not going to help. It's going to add about $100 million to that hole.
10 years. It is so reliable. The films are amazing.
So many movies of the last 10 years. They had some of the biggest box offices 8 of the last 10 years. What about since 2021? There's been a number of times where Disney has had the largest box offices in the last 3 to 4 years. And the overwhelming majority of the time, those biggest box offices for Disney collectively came with, what are we up to now? So far, $2 billion in losses. $2 billion in losses, not including the fake Mickey Mouse dollars that help to cover it up from the Disney Plus credit card.
Many of them are billion-dollar-plus performers at the box office.
Many of them. How many billion-dollar-plus movies has the Disney company had since COVID? Deadpool, Inside Out. 2. 2 out of what? 20? We're in 2025. It costs me almost $18 to get a premium large format movie ticket at my theater in a New Orleans suburb. I'm not in New York or LA. How hard is it to make a billion-dollar movie nowadays when you're Disney and you're spending $200 to $300 million per picture on average, plus another $100 to $150 million in marketing? You spend way more money than anybody else in Hollywood. You should be farting out billion-dollar movies right and left. You should have had one with Snow White. You came about $800 million short. You should have had one with Little Mermaid. Came about $500 million short. You should have had one with a lot of other of the Marvel products that you did, but you chose to make crappy ones.
And then they go on to Disney Plus, where they stimulate subscriber acquisition, they drive engagement. And then when you put that together with...
Wait a minute. At what point, short of its name being maybe Moana, at what point in the last few years since COVID has any Disney film, and she just admitted it, they then go on to Disney Plus? In other words, it's not real cash flows. It's not real licensing revenue for Disney. What has driven the subscriptions to Disney Plus? We've seen very little movement. You just had an earnings report a week ago, and there was a couple of million? I mean, Disney Plus has not grown significantly over the last year at all. Paramount Plus, Peacock, Max have all grown far more significantly, domestically speaking, especially in the last year, than Disney Plus. Netflix has grown significantly more in the last year. I mean, in terms, I don't see where we're going here. What are you telling me that this is dropping? This is the flywheel lie that Disney loves to tell. The flywheel, right? Oh, it doesn't matter that we lose $500 million at the box office on 2 movies. It's because of the flywheel, and it's going to drive more merchandise sales. Anybody buying Thunderbolts toys? Anybody buying Rachel Ziegler toys? Even Deadline said they didn't even sell $2 million worth. Anybody buying Captain Falcon toys? Nope. They're going to Ollie's. Nobody's buying those. Does anybody care about seeing these characters in the parks? Nope. Is anybody watching these things long-term? Nope. Sure as hell not. What are you talking about? Driving long-term growth on Disney Plus. It isn't. All that's driving growth on Disney Plus is basically Bluey, a property that Disney doesn't own, doesn't make, and just licenses. And we don't even know how much Disney is spending for that license. But I promise you it's not cheap.
With our general entertainment, which, not to brag, but last year we won.
Brag, you deserve it. The streaming business is on fire.
It's on fire, said Jim Cramer. Streaming business is on fire. Is it? I mean, we're going to make the argument here that Hulu seems to be doing okay, for sure, but not Disney Plus. Not by any stretch. Wait till Ironheart drops. Ironheart will save it all.
Primetime Emmy Awards, more than any other company. And then very exciting news this morning about ESPN.
Right. Yeah, okay. That's one of the Disney's, that's what Bob Iger loves the most. And just like the comedian that made the joke the other day about Bob Iger doesn't give a about his audience. He doesn't. Neither does Dana Walden. What they give a damn about is their Hollywood peers. We had the most Emmy nominations. Good. Shows like Shogun deserve it. The problem is that that's all that these people actually care about, is getting Hollywood handy J's from their cocktail party buddies, because a company like Disney can absorb failures like nobody else, commercial failures. What they really want is just, as long as they get a critical success, that's all they care about.
And the ESPN app, and very soon you'll be able to bundle those 3 services together. Very simple interface. All of that content will be available through one app, which is Disney Plus. So
there you go. Big news. Now, we talked about this the other day a little bit. You know, they announced the pricing for the ESPN thing, and it's going to be $29.99 a month, which is pretty much what everybody knew it was going to start at. And I said, I guarantee you it won't stay there. It's going to be $40 to $50 within 3 years, because Disney's going to find out very quickly how bad the churn is. But listen to what she just said. Dana Walden just said that everything, including ESPN, is all going to be through a singular throughput, a singular app, Disney Plus, because that's what sports fans want to sign up for, Disney Plus. This is how they're going to coalesce all the streaming together and hide the failures that they have with shows like Ironheart coming up. Once again, Disney's going to bury a lot of these failures behind sports, at least as best they can. Remember, right now, Disney has their DTC broken up. You've got entertainment with Disney Plus and Hulu, and then on the other side, you've got ESPN Plus. From what Dana is saying right here, it's kind of sounding like we're going to have another recasting, is what I'm hearing. We're going to have another recasting of this in the next few years, meaning that you're going to have streaming is going to be its own thing. So you're going to have parks and experiences. You're going to have linear broadcast. Maybe they still keep sports, but streaming, I don't know how. If you merge all of these apps and subscriptions together, how then do you really break it out on a financial statement that, you know, somebody signs up? They're talking about making the whole package $35 a month. So basically you get ESPN, Disney Plus, and Hulu all together for $35 a month. Now, that would be a hell of a deal, but I promise you it ain't going to stay there for long. That'll be $50 real quick, because the churn that they're going to have when all those sports contracts come in, how are they going to do this with subscribers? They're going to have to eventually coalesce it, right? So we have X amount of subscribers for Hulu. We have X amount of subscribers for Disney Plus. How many of those subscribers right now are actually duplicative? Because, I mean, I have a Disney Plus subscription, and I have a Hulu subscription, and I have an ESPN Plus subscription. I mean, I have my Disney Plus subscription because of, you know, cable, and I got rid of that. My wife likes some of the stuff like Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. You got to wonder, how is Disney going to treat all these things? How is Disney going to break this down? Or are they going to continue to coalesce this? And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but what I feel like is we're going to continue to hide the sausage on this one, right? Or in this case, we're going to continue to hide the cow pie. We're going to continue to hide the fact that Disney Plus is losing money right and left. And the evidence is frankly, with iron heart. We'll explain that in just a little bit.
Bundling strategy is really paying off.
Well, I think also what's paying off is that you have brought an attitude. People want to work with you. Stars want to work with you. Stars are still the key, correct, to get the viewers? It's
true. It's stars, it's our creative partners, it's the filmmakers, it's the writers. And
let's be honest. Taking out Hulu for a second, you guys have terrible writers, terrible showrunners in a lot of cases, or most cases. You have terrible products when it comes to Disney Plus, when it comes to brand IP, as you put it, Dana, 90% of the time. And they're talking about the power of you guys can get the stars, you guys can get this, you guys can get that. And why is that? Because Disney spends twice as much as anybody else. This is why Andor costs $400 million. It's why Snow White costs $400 million. It's why Secret Invasion, or whatever the hell, the Disney Plus show, where you've got Nick Fury making out with an alien, whatever, that costs $250 million. It's why all of these shows, why The Acolyte costs $300 million, because you can't stop overspending. And the problem is, Dana, because everything I just mentioned right there is a TV show, right? So that's under your watch, Pumpkin. This is why streaming has been suffering as much as it is. And this is why streaming is not already and long ago far more profitable than it has been to this point, because you spend too much money making really bad television for Disney Plus.
You know, Disney is so special in this entertainment environment. It really serves as a magnet for the very best creators, and we try to put them in a position where they can win.
Keep trying. Keep trying.
Where their work is going to be celebrated, where it doesn't feel like it's just thrown onto a platform. Right.
It is just thrown onto a platform, and rarely, if ever, is it actually celebrated by anybody except your paid shill critics, the Hollywood access media. She's telling you straight up what they care about, and it's not you. It's not the audience. Not for Disney Plus, not for Star Wars, not for Marvel. The most expensive shows have brought in some of the most pitifully small audiences on any major television or streaming service.
You know, we take the time in many cases, you know, whether it's from our linear channels, it's windowed in theatrical, that content is windowed onto Disney Plus and Hulu. We love storytelling. It's the core of our business, and we take care of those stories.
If that's the core of your business at Disney, you guys have really been sucking at it for a long time now.
Right, people do the storytelling. You introduced me to Martin Short. I'm like standing next to Martin Short. These are people who they're lightning in a bottle, okay? And he's telling me about how much he loves working with you.
Yeah, he's a great partner. But again, partnerships.
Okay, now they're talking about Only Murders in the Building. So you listen to this, and she's shifting from the core Disney properties now. She's talking about the old Fox studios that she came from, the FX people, the Fox people, the people that Disney have left alone, that has actually kept and continued to make Hulu successful. Remember, Disney is still spending a lot of money right now trying to finish the acquisition of what's left of Hulu. And what concerns me is once they get the rest of it, what Disney is going to do to whatever's left of the people that followed it over. Because we've seen what Disney does with Star Wars. We've seen what Disney does with Marvel after their phases 1 through 3 plans ran out. They're not very good long-term stewards of these types of properties.
Matter.
Right.
They matter for today. We're at our upfront presentation for advertisers, and those partnerships are key. And we have an incredible ad sales team, and they nurture those relationships over decades. They're dependable.
By the way, the ad sales team, I believe Disney laid off a ton of those people. So
reliable. We deliver for our partners, and we deliver for our creative partners. And Only Murders in the Building, we're about to release the 5th season with an all-star cast, and Martin's been amazing.
Now, talk to me about why people think linear is dead and how it is anything but dead for you.
Well, certainly it's not dead for sports. It's growing for sports, and ESPN on ABC is growing and grew ratings and is delivering for those partners that are in our sports programming. But, you know, we have a very interesting strategy with linear, which is it's been embedded in our streaming strategy for the past 6 years. We look at our linear channels, our core linear channels, FX, Disney Channel, Nat Geo, and ABC, and we look at it as an opportunity to program for audiences that are still watching on linear. And then that same content is windowed onto streaming, where it's on demand and available for subscribers whenever they want it. And that enables us to speak to a very broad audience. 50% of our audience watches on linear of linear programming, and 50% watch it on streaming. And it's a type of content that is foundational to streaming. Shows with deep libraries, 30 plus seasons like The Simpsons. Every time we have a new season, it activates the entire library. So we've made good sense of these two forms of distribution.
All right, listen to what she's talking about. She's talking about, again, some Hulu original content. But the big thing, and this is key, this is what drives most of the viewership over there, is the library content. The Simpsons. It's like the #1 thing that's consumed on Hulu. And remember, that was something that Disney paid over $77 billion to get, along with the other library content they're talking about that's being successful. Reruns of Grey's Anatomy, for example, real successful. Now, granted, that's ABC, that's originally Disney, but the point is, when you really look at what's driving streaming, driving viewership and engagement, it's not the $200-400 million television shows they're making for Star Wars and Marvel. That barely even showing up on the chart. Even the lesser expensive shows like Daredevil, barely showing up, right? For Disney Plus and Hulu, it's the catalog. It's the library. And when they get live sports in there, it's going to be that. That's why they're cutting back on Marvel. They've almost all but eliminated Star Wars everything except a few cartoons and stuff like Ahsoka Season 2 that was already in the pipe. That's why it's all going away. That's why it's finally, thank God, all going away.
So why is there a misperception? For instance, I was reading today, some companies know how to take advantage of YouTube, and you're not mentioned. And yet you're the company that's probably taking the most advantage of YouTube, trying to pick the people that, you've got the algorithm, you know what people watch, you've been able to select them, but you're not in the article.
It's true. Well, I can't really explain that one, Jim. I can only say they've been a great partner, YouTube, and we actually partner with them on a variety of different fronts. We have a number of YouTube channels. We produce, several different forms of special content for them, whether it's trailers or short episodes. And all of the work that we do for them ultimately converts viewership back to our own platforms across Hulu and Disney Plus.
Why do people think that if you have edgy programming, you don't get advertisers, and yet you have edgy programming? And as we know from the upfronts, you got plenty of advertisers.
Yeah, we have premium programming. Advertisers are not rigid. They want to be with trusted partners in programming that is premium, that feels like it is worth their investment, and where they get reliable ROI on their investment.
Right. So,
yeah, reliable return on investment on their investment when it comes to their advertising dollars. So let me summarize what Dana just said. That includes live sports and certain things on Hulu, library content, and new properties like The Bear, Only Murders in the Building, where advertisers do not see any premium content, where advertisers do not want to be, from everything that we've heard, is Disney Plus itself. Because apart from a bunch of 6-year-olds watching Bluey, there's nothing there. There's nothing there that they want to waste time and money on, because the key demo that they need to reach don't live on Disney Plus.
So comparisons are odious except on Wall Street. I want to know what Dana thinks about why there's such a disparity between the value of Netflix and the value of Disney, given the fact that there's this one division, your division, that is going to be putting out what Netflix is doing now in the future.
Well, I think it's worth remembering that Disney Plus is now 5 years old. It's still a very young service, and we're so pleased with the direction we're moving. We're growing in all of the important metrics. We grew, and you just heard last week on our earnings call, we grew subscribers, ARPU, revenue, profits. We're really not looking at the competition. We have a unique ecosystem. And you think about Disney Plus, it is the portal for Disney fandom around the world.
Is it though? Is it really? There's no numbers to actually suggest that. It's just the opposite. Unless all of your fans are basically centered around Bluey, which you don't make or you don't own. Disney Plus is not I don't see how this is a portal. Andor, your $400 million show, one of the smallest audiences of any Disney major IP that's been on the platform. Tell me what you're talking about, honey. I really don't understand this. I know you've been trained like a lapdog by Bob Iger to say what you're saying right now, but it just doesn't make any sense. I'm going to listen to that part again because there was something I missed.
And we're so pleased with the direction we're moving. We're growing in all of the important metrics. We grew, and you just heard last week on our earnings call, we grew subscribers, ARPU, revenue, profits. We're moving in exactly the right direction.
Part of the reason that's happening, one of the only reasons that's really happening, is because they have been slashing content spend. They've finally been eliminating the dead weight of streaming, which has been overwhelmingly stuff like Marvel and Star Wars TV shows. They're finally dialing it back. Ironheart is one of these shows that's been sitting on the shelf for 3 years. They're finally having to put this turd on Disney Plus, and they're doing it in such a way deliberately when they're releasing it to try to cushion the blow for this. So this is how Disney's getting it moving in the right. I predicted this months ago. I told you this was coming like a year ago, more than a year ago. I said they're going to cut their way. They're going to cut out the trash that costs too much that nobody's watching. So instead of having 5 Marvel shows a year and 2 and 3 Star Wars shows a year, live action, you're going to have maybe 2 Marvel shows a year and maybe 1 Star Wars show, but there's nothing on the schedule. Everything else is going to be animated. Cheap animated Star Wars, cheap animated Marvel, and that's it. That's all you're getting, and they're going to hope they get the viewership that drives that.
And we're really not looking at the competition. We have a unique ecosystem.
We're not looking at the competition. We have a unique ecosystem. Again, the Disney flywheel, this crap, right? This absolute dog crap. This is how Disney gets rid of Wall Street people questioning them. Oh, you can't compare us to anybody else. We're Disney. Get bent.
And you think about Disney Plus, it is the portal for Disney fandom around the world. And those iconic stories and characters are activated in our parks, on our cruise ships, in consumer products. There are so many ways that we're able to optimize and monetize that content that other companies are not able to do.
And yet instantly I heard from Wall Street critics, well, it was all one-off. It was just a one-off turn. It can't be anything. It's got true momentum, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yes.
We've heard this every time for the last 3 years when this exact same thing happened before Disney went back down under $100. Again, can't promise you it's going to happen again. I'm not saying it's going to happen again, but the problem is I've heard this conversation with Disney executives and people like Jim Cramer for the last 3 years, over and over and over and over again. Like I said, the only difference is this time Disney is just literally dumping major production from Disney Plus. This is how they're starting to get to a point to where nothing that indicates that Disney Plus is profitable, because they're hiding it behind Hulu, which is, you listen to what Dana said. And like we said earlier, you look at what Disney has talked about today during the upfronts. All they did was talk about live sports, linear broadcast, ESPN, and Hulu. Disney Plus for these advertisers was a distant third, very, very distant third. They used Star Wars characters and Marvel characters to kind of, do their promo stuff for upfronts. But again, just like we heard at the end of last year, Disney advertisers or the advertisers themselves have basically pulled out of Disney Plus, the few that were still there, because it was such a mess for them. The viewership just wasn't there. But again, if Disney can actually manage to cut all these Marvel productions out, or 50+% of them out, reduce the budgets of what's left, and they've already seemingly eliminated Star Wars live action from Disney Plus because nothing new was announced, well, that's how they're going to continue to grow it.
Very pleased with the direction we're moving, as I said, and we do have momentum, and we are moving towards those double-digit margins, and this is a growth business for our company.
Okay, I want to know what I'm going to be blown away by, what the advertisers are telling you they're blown away by right now.
Clearly, they are loving the sports, and they're going to see our incredible partners. You just spent some time with Jason Kelsey, but I love Alien Earth. What we looked at the very end of the presentation, it is a series based on the film franchise, which again will have an interesting dynamic. When we release the show on streaming, it's going to lift that entire library. People are going to go back and watch those 6 films. It's going to create engagement across the entire franchise. It's so well executed. Noah Hawley, who also did Fargo, is the creator, and I think people are going to love it.
But I want to circle back to ESPN, just because today is the big news. And you've got a portfolio, but you're a cooperative person, obviously. This could be big. I've noticed you even have daily fantasy is going to be involved. And I know Bob Iger recognizes that fantasy is important, and that they watch all 4 quarters. The fourth quarter matters, even if the game is not a blowout. You've got the right people. Eli Manning is a big star for you. It just seems like that what you're doing with ESPN is something that no one could imagine you'll be able to do.
That's right. I have so much respect for Jimmy Pitaro and his team at ESPN. They're doing a great job. He has a real vision for this product. It is pretty dazzling, and the way it does incorporate, as you just mentioned, ESPN Bet, fantasy, the personalization of the studio programming of SportsCenter, knowing who the fan is that's watching. I think it is going to blow people away. It's going to be, no pun intended, a game changer.
It will be. No, I got to tell you, being a game, I always think about Bob Iger in this, and I know that Bob has got the bench. It's just finally been exposed for what it is. Some incredible Titan people like you. Bob's got a pretty good crew, doesn't he?
Well, Bob's pretty great. He deserves a good crew, and we've all had the benefit of learning from him.
Please, Bob, give me the job. I gotta wonder how hard behind the scenes her and Josh D'Amaro are going at it for the CEO position.
A lot of things were going like this, but in this quarter, which has driven the stock up beyond where anyone felt, and I think can still put a couple of multiple points on, it was yours that went like this. You had to have been proud.
Enormously proud.
Folks proud? Not proud?
My parents are proud. I think Bob's proud of our company, which makes us all feel great. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jim, for recognizing that.
Yep. Okay. Popped up the last couple of quarters. I get it. You're talking about direct to consumer since 2019. They've racked up cumulative losses on DTC. They're still about $10 billion in the hole. You go back to 2019, because we've been tracking it since then. It's still about $10 billion in the hole. It's been written up on in Forbes and other places. It's a big, big spend. And again, the scale size between what we're talking about from Disney to a lot of other competitors, they should be further along than they are. But for the fact of the ridiculous budgets they have for these television shows that go on to Disney Plus that are very, very poorly viewed by comparison. They're not even close to a lot of the stuff that's on Warner Brothers and Paramount. A lot of times in terms of viewership, we're talking about 1/5, 1/6, 1/10 the audience in many cases. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.